What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about training camp. We're talking about a couple guys that the Chiefs actually picked up going into training camp, plus much more.
Let's talk about that.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up, the podcast.
Chiefs Kingdom, All Chiefed Up crew. Welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another podcast for that ass, baby. It is Tuesday, June 24th. And we have a lot to talk about here in the offseason. Mike's a little bit of a dead zone here. We talked about it on a live stream last night, but after OTAs and up to camp, it gets a little slow. But we're looking for some Chiefs stuff to talk about and just have a good time, right?
It is slow this time of year, man. The guys finally are getting some time off to prepare their minds and their bodies, Steve, to go through Andy Reid's grueling training camp that's coming up here pretty soon. So let's just talk about that a little bit. We finally got a little bit of a schedule going on for that. And it looks like it's going to kick off. The first practice open to the public is going to be the 23rd of July. So that's going to be a Wednesday. Their first practice is going to be July 22nd. That's going to be at 9:15 a.m. But either way, they go through a full week of practice. The second week comes in. They go through another full week of practice. They're going to get a day off on Thursday, July 31st. And then they're going to get their first game. So they're going to practice for 3 weeks pretty much. And then on August 9th, preseason game number 1 versus the Cardinals. And then as soon as that game's done, they'll get back at practice on Monday, August 11th, and they'll go for 3 days, and then they're wrapping it up in St. Joe, Steve. So that is the schedule. If anybody's going to plan on attending, I'm pretty sure you got to go online, go on the app, get your tickets. I only think there's a few days that charge, so the majority of it's free. And so, man, it's pretty fun. I can't wait to get out there. We're going to try to get out there this year. What do you think about camp, man? Do you think it's going to be fun watching all these camp battles? Like, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny. We joke around about them resting their bodies and everything, but honestly, I think these guys these days have to take their rest when they can get it, don't they? We talk about how the season pretty much is year-round now. Just as covering the Chiefs, like it feels like it's never ending. So you can only imagine what it feels like to actually play for the team and have to do the travel, practices, the meetings, all that stuff. So I think it's a good thing for them to get a little bit of rest. And plus, the Chiefs have been on a freaking tear for the last almost decade now, and they've played more football than anybody else on the planet. So it'll be good for them to get a little bit of rest before camp here. But yeah, everybody should be getting excited though. I mean, we're literally like a month outside of the football season, kind of just taking off, because once camp starts, all of a sudden it's preseason, all of a sudden the season starts, and then we get back in the swing of it. But camp's going to be really fun this time, Mike. I think it's going to be really cool to watch the different camp battles and stuff, because the way that this roster is set up now, it's a lot different than it has been in the past couple of years. I feel like there's more up in the air. There's more guys that could win jobs. There are more critical position battles, like the left tackle position. And then the wide receiver thing's always fun. But this year, it's kind of cool. We have like a full wide receiver room that's badass. And we're going to see who gets the back end of that, right? So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of fun things. So I'm just pretty excited that football is getting back in the swing.
Yeah, me too. I do think, like you said, there's some big camp battles, position battles, but there is none bigger than that left tackle spot. You can talk about it till we're blue in the face, Steve.
Yeah.
But we have got to start protecting Patrick Mahomes. Both Super Bowls that we lost pretty handily, and it was because of protection issues. If you can protect Patrick Mahomes, you will win a Super Bowl. We've proven that. We should have won the one all the way back in Mahomes' first season when all those phantom calls that went Brady's way. That was possibly a win for Patrick Mahomes if they would have just called the correct calls there.
That dude, I talked about that the other day, but that game right there haunts me more than anything.
It was horrible.
He could have started his entire career off, his starting career. That was the first year he started. He could have won a Super Bowl right there, and that one's just very haunting, because that was one of the worst.
What was all the bad calls? There was a phantom Chris Jones.
Dude, it was insane.
Hit to the head on Brady where he barely, literally scrapes his shoulder.
And if you go back and you watch it, those calls came at the worst times. It was like 3rd and long.
Right.
And stuff like that. And then like they didn't convert, and then all of a sudden it was a roughing the passer, and it's like they literally handed that win to Tom Brady on a freaking silver platter.
On special teams, touched that ball.
Punt, that was the biggest one. When you knew, first of all, they called it a fumble on the field. Garrett Dieter takes it back to the house for a touchdown. That's wraps. This game is
Shout out Dieter,
done.
baby.
Right. But that's the thing about it. You had to overturn that call. And by everything that you watch on the tape, when you watch it, you can see his freaking fingers moving because the ball's hitting it.
Right.
But they come back and say they have conclusive evidence that he didn't touch the ball.
But the Chiefs get all the calls.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, I'm not much for being a conspiracy theorist, but I think at that point, when they took that away and gave the ball back to them, you kind of knew what was up. And
that one felt a little odd, did it not?
Well, yeah. You kind of knew what was up at that point, and then after that came all those other dreadful calls, and then the Chiefs still found a way to win the game, and then all of a sudden, D Ford's lined up off sides when it didn't even matter. He's on the opposite side of the field from the play. Yeah, it's insane.
Is D Ford, and people can get in the comments and let me know what they think. I'm sure they're going to say it's all D Ford's fault. People don't want to seem like a whiner or whatever. But I feel like D Ford was just a scapegoat for all the bad officiating in that game.
Sort of. I think it was his fault. He's offsides, right? Totally on him. Same way with Kadarius Toney in that Buffalo Bills regular season game. Technically, yeah, he's lined up offsides. But it's by such a minimal margin. And these line judges let them do this shit all day long. Yeah. And they don't say anything about it. They didn't warn them. They didn't tell them to move back like they always do.
Yeah, they usually give several warnings.
Kadarius Toney literally looked at the sideline and pointed at the referee and got the okay.
There's video footage where he put his hand out and the guy nodded him.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, there were so many different ways that could have played out. And then, like, the D Ford one, that one just seemed crazy to me, too. It's very strange that they don't want to say anything. They don't want to give these players warnings, but then at the most critical point in the game, the flag flies out. And that's crazy to me. It just seems a little odd.
That game's just, it's horrible. That was one of the worst.
That one will haunt you for a while. That's all
it's
I'm
a bad
saying.
one.
But yeah, I don't remember what we were even talking about. Now we got sidetracked on that.
I don't know. We were talking about camp battles and trying to protect Mahomes. It really is. It really is Josh Simmons versus Jalen Moore. That's the huge, big camp battle for me. Like, look, at the end of the day, if the Chiefs take 6 wide receivers, if they take 7, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I mean, we can win with either. We can win with 5. Like, we've got a solid 5. If the Chiefs take 3 running backs or they go ahead and take 5 and take Carson Steele with the fullback, that doesn't affect me much. If they take an extra, if they was to take Brandon George at linebacker and was to cut Cam Jones, I don't really care that much.
Right.
Just across the board, there's not a lot of big time camp battles that really make a huge difference, like that left tackle camp battle.
No, that one's massive, and I think it's because of what you mentioned. The Chiefs lost their 2 Super Bowls because of lack of protection for Mahomes, and you've seen that trend twice now. Like, it's not just an outlier anymore. It wasn't just Super Bowl 55 or whatever. Now you've done this twice. Like, you've literally let down the entire fan base. You've let down the team. You've let down freaking history because you didn't fix one simple problem that should have been being worked on years ago. And granted, they've been trying to work on it, and they were drafting here and there and getting all kinds of guys that just couldn't get anything to pan out. But at the same time, it's like you've had a lot of time to fix that, and you've just been kind of patching it up, putting little Band-Aids on it.
They haven't been in a position to really do it. There's not been a lot of good free agents come along.
I agree with that. But when you think about the time frame from there, what have we had in the middle? Was it Orlando Browns what they went and got after that? I think so.
Yeah, Orlando Brown was the first one they pulled the trigger on there. He had played, they were trying to move people around, right?
We're talking 4 years now. 4 years. And I understand that, like you said, they haven't been in the best position because they draft late and there hasn't been a whole lot of free agency. But you've seen a lot of pieces moving around the NFL. I feel like they could have taken a shot, got someone to trade them somebody, done something, but they just weren't aggressive enough about that one particular position, in my opinion.
It's possible. I think they really liked Orlando Brown. I think if Orlando Brown would have not been such a stickler on trying to get that big contract, I think he could have been here long term. And I think they would have won with Orlando Brown multiple Super Bowls. They proved they did it, and Mahomes trusted him. The fans wasn't in on Orlando Brown.
Do you think that was the thing? Do you think Orlando Brown was literally like them trying to appease the crybaby fans, like the ones that were just so upset and hated Orlando Brown?
Well, you can't appease the crybaby fans.
That can't be part of the reason they went ahead and moved on.
And again,
right?
Look, we're not calling everybody a crybaby, but there's a lot that's not
There was
ever satisfied.
and I didn't mean for it to come off that way, but there's a massive pitchfork crowd in our fan base. People
Oh, yeah,
know it.
100%.
It's not a secret, but
Steve,
it's like
people
that with every team. By the way,
people think we're whiners and pitchfork crowds because we say that, if we lose, we say that Patrick Mahomes looked bad, or
I mean, that's
what's
just
another
being
one? We
honest.
didn't come out with a lot of fire in us, and we got outplayed. I mean, I feel like a lot of it's just frustration. Winners want to win, and you get very used to it. It's hard to accept mediocrity once you've seen greatness, and I think that's another.
Mikey, you said I'm not accepting this trash after
I'm not.
winning
You don't
Super
look.
Bowls.
You can't even have one game of trash. I mean, look, if you are the greatest quarterback to ever play, Mahomes, and then you have one half like he had versus Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game, it makes you sick. You're like, how can a guy look like that but have that kind of half? So I don't look. I think once you put yourself on that level, you have to accept that criticism. If Jordan played that bad in the playoff game, if LeBron ever plays that bad, they're all getting it.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Does that taint Mahomes' legacy a little bit? The fact that when he's that bad, he's the worst.
No, I don't think at the end of his career you're going to look back and be like, man, he was the greatest. He possibly won more Super Bowls than anybody. He may have most stats. He transformed the position.
Let's just say Mahomes,
but he had
ends
one
his
horrible
career.
half versus Cincinnati.
Let's say probably best case. I don't know. I don't know what best case scenario. Let's just guess, and let's just say Mahomes were to win 2 more Super Bowls in his career. Right? We would hope
giving
for
him
more
2?
than that. But yeah, we would. That's what I was saying. We would hope for more than that. But let's just say 2, and he ends with 5 Super Bowl wins.
Okay,
which is insane.
Yeah,
that puts him right behind Brady, right? So, I think if you look at it in that perspective, and then you look back at, like, would he be? That's got to be kind of a knock on him, right? Because it's like, dude, he won 5 Super Bowls. He was potentially the best quarterback to ever play football, but he lost all these Super Bowls because he just lost his mind. Like, if they could go, like, if you took the tape from, like, this Super Bowl last year, or you took the tape from that half of that AFC Championship game against the Bengals, and you showed that to a kid 15 years in the future and was like, this is the best quarterback to ever play, they'd laugh you out of the room.
Well, yeah, that's true. But
now, Brady
again,
looks stupid too, and we know it as Chiefs fans. I think there was a game where we beat them like 44-14 or something like that.
Yeah, it was on Monday Night Football. We crushed
and Brady
them.
looked like a fool. He was fumbling the ball everywhere. I think there was one where he tried to throw the ball and it went straight up in the air. Like, just looked stupid. So, I mean, it happens, I guess.
I mean, you could totally have bad games. I get that. Well, one thing I seen today was the Chiefs' offense last year, and this goes back to probably, and a lot of people's going to say this, with everything you just said about Mahomes, it's still going to come back to, well, Mahomes doesn't have protection. And so last year, I seen a graphic. Yeah. Somebody threw it up today, and it had our explosive plays, offense, passing and running. We were one of the lowest 2 teams in the league. Like, we had like a 5% explosive pass rate and a 5% explosive run rate. It was horrible. Like, the Arizona Cardinals were far and away better than we were.
Does that surprise you after watching the offense all year?
No, but
not a bit.
3 to 4 years ago, we were the one that everyone looked at.
We were those dudes.
Yeah, we were those guys, and now we're those guys. Right, we're the opposite end. How has it gotten so bad? Is it really just protection?
People say that people are not afraid of the Chiefs anymore, and they're not what they were, and I think that's really where it comes from, right? The explosivity's gone. Like, there's nothing exciting about.
I think if the Chiefs come out this year,
there's nothing frightening about the Chiefs' offense.
Right, if the Chiefs come out this year, look, they went 15-2 last year, most games won in franchise history, and people dogged us. They said it's over. We lose in the Super Bowl, and now the whole franchise is crumbling, and the dynasty was a fraud. Right. Okay,
which is wild.
But that's exactly what you're right about that, about the explosiveness. If the Chiefs were to come out this year and only win 12 games, but they were putting up 40 points in every game and in every loss was a shootout, people don't dog on the Chiefs as much as they did last year, winning 15-2 and just barely scraping by, because it allowed people to come in with the whole NFL officiating crap.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I think that basically it's a hopeful thing, right? Like, all the people that are saying this are Chiefs haters in some sense.
Oh yeah, they want us to fail.
So I think it's one of those things where they're just trying to project and, like, make it happen. Like, put it out there, make it a reality, right?
Right.
And then a lot of that is those people, are you really predicting the end of the world if you predict it 85 times and then the world ends? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that kind of logic, right? Where we're going to say it enough, eventually we're going to be right. But I think the thing about it is the Chiefs did put themselves in a position to be getting the criticism they're getting this offseason simply because the offense was stagnant. They weren't a scary team. People don't want to play the Chiefs still. They can lie and say they don't care. They're not afraid of them. But people don't want to play the Chiefs. They know the Chiefs are the best team in football. They know they're a good team, and they know that they can win any game. And they know how to win close games, and that makes them great. And plus, the Chiefs dealt with a lot of adversity last year, right, with the injuries and so on. But I think what it boils down to is the Chiefs' failure to even compete in the Super Bowl and just look like clowns, man. They look like clowns that didn't deserve to be there. Right. They put themselves in this position this offseason.
Yeah, it was a lot. But getting back to camp battles, this is where it started. The Chiefs made a few moves. Let's look at these. The Chiefs made a few moves right before they took this big hiatus. They were bringing in Jaquarius Spivey, Steve, tight end, which we've seen him. We've seen
your boy
Spivey.
Spivey. This is his dad in our comments, like almost every video. Tell him to sign your boy Spivey.
Yeah, get him going. He's here. He played with the Houston Roughnecks in the offseason. They've brought him in, Steve. They also saw Joey Lombard, who played a little bit of center and guard out of South Dakota. Yeah. Oh, South Dakota, the Coyotes.
They're both big boys. They're both big boys.
The Coyotes, Steve. Do you know who else? We have another South Dakota alum. If you watched our previous short that I made, Jack Cochran. We got two South Dakota Coyotes on this roster now. What do you think about it?
Jack Big O Cochran. Hey, I tell you, do you think he makes the roster this year on the back end? Can Jack Cochran stay in the game?
I don't think so. I think this is the year Brandon George or somebody. Bossa, Brandon George.
Is wild too, right?
You've got a lot of guys there. It would really surprise me. Him or Cole Christensen, one's getting shown the door this year.
I think so too. It's going to be tough for them. But just to get back to the signings you were talking about, they're both big dudes. Like, I think Spivey's like 6'6", tight end, big boy.
Yeah, I think he's listed at 6'5".
Right.
But he's a monster, dude. We watched him last year. He was at camp last year, and he was a monster. They call him GQ because he's smooth, his size and his smoothness.
Yeah, man, he's good, and I think it'll be great competition for a room that's going to be very competitive because we're talking about Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley's looking like he's back from his injury, and then on top of that, you got the kid they just signed as a UDFA, Jake Brenningstool, that's been showing out, right? And then you kind of throw these other guys in the mix too, and they're good. They're talented players, and it's just going to be a good recipe for really good competition. And I think it's going to be like that in a lot of places. And then that center that they signed too, he's big for a center. And I think it's just more competition there on the offensive line, and that's good. That's healthy. That's what you want, right? Like, I think to get the best roster, you want the best competition you could possibly have at each position throughout the offseason.
Right. Lombard is pretty much a beast, man. I watched some film of him today going up against Wisconsin, matching up against a Big Ten team, and he was moving the guys. He was getting to the second level. He looked really good. Apparently, he played an entire game in 2024 with a broken hand, or 2023. Played an entire game with an offensive lineman. You know how much your hands and the grip strength has to be there. He played an entire game with a broken hand. That's crazy. He was named second team All FCS by the AP in 2024, so he's got some talent. Now, does he have enough to make the roster? Probably not. CJ Hansen's got he was drafted here, and I think CJ Hansen has got an uphill battle. So the offensive line is very deep. Like, we are super deep right now with the offensive line, which is great. You've got to do that. So I think both of these guys are probably going to be just camp bodies. That sucks for Spivey, that sucks for Lombard, but put some good film out there and hopefully they get picked up by somebody else. I think that's probably where it is. It's going to be tough to crack this tight end room, Steve. Are they going to take 3? Are they going to take 4? Now, I do think Spivey could be like that blocker. He's big enough to be that big blocking tight end we've been needing.
You know what's nuts, though? It's like every position is like that this year. Are they going to take this many? They're going to take that many? Like, normally you can kind of get your thumb over it and figure out what they're going to do. This year's a little bit different. There's so many different
Charles
options.
Goldman just released a story today on A to Z saying that he wasn't even so sure that Andy's just going to take 2 quarterbacks. He could see him taking 3. Like, what? Like
Oladokin?
there's so much competition. I don't know if it's him or Zappy, but I think all the way around, people are just. We might take 2 punters, Steve. We might take
Right.
Chapliski along with.
Chapliski. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Eddie Chapliski.
Yeah,
We might take him along with our boy Matt Ariza.
Matt Ariza.
I almost forgot his last name. I almost
God.
called him Aguiar. What is
What?
that?
You're just making
Matt
stuff
Aguiar.
up.
I think that's a car
No, but
salesman somewhere.
I think there's a lot of good, healthy competition that's going to happen this summer.
You work hard, you play hard, and we know Chiefs Kingdom cheers hard. And when you do that, it's obvious you work up a little stank. You don't have to walk around smelling like Bigfoot's. Grab yourself some Mando full body deodorant or some Mando whole body deodorant spray. They even have whole body deodorant cream. You have no reason to stink. We absolutely love Mando, and that's why we partnered with them to bring their goodness to you. There's 4 scents. This bourbon leather here is fantastic. They also have Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport scent. So do you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula? Of course you do. You can find them at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, go to shopmando.com. You can pick up a Mando starter pack. It's absolutely perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and you get free shipping. Free shipping is huge. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence head to toe with Mando.
It's like I can't think of like really a position that doesn't have some kind of competition, at least mid to back end, except for maybe QB. Because
Right.
offensive line is
Well,
going
you
to
know
be
where
highly
that's going.
competitive. Offensive line is going to be highly competitive. Running back's going to be highly competitive at the back end of that. Tight end, you just mentioned. Then you flip over to the wide receiver. We already talked about that. That 6th spot is wild. Who the hell knows what's going to happen there? And then if you flip over to the defense, cornerback depth is insane. So who knows how that's going to play out? The safety room's got a lot of. It's going to be different, with Justin Reid gone, but they got Mike Edwards back as like that veteran presence. But then you got Jaden Hicks that's going to garner a lot more playing time this year.
Right.
And then you have all kinds of guys behind him that can play safety. Even down to Deion Bush, who makes the team almost every year.
Give me 3 guys that you would not be surprised gets cut off this roster. 3 guys that most people think would be a lock right now going into camp. We're about a month out from camp. Of course, camp's going to have a big bearing on this, but right now, give me
how
3
spicy
guys.
do you want it? How spicy do you want it?
Let's
Do you
go
want
super
that,
spicy.
You want to be hurting tomorrow?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Look, if you're doing Taco Bell hot sauces, give me the Diablo. Go hard with it, even
Dude,
though the Diablo is very delicious.
If you're gonna go 3, like where you
just
see
random
they cut
names.
where you see they cut them and you're like, dang, I don't know if that was the best decision, but
let's go with that.
Okay, yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster,
I've been saying that for a little while, but
Kareem Hunt,
okay.
and maybe if we go to the defensive side of the ball, let's go. Dang, it's a tough one. What if they? I don't see this happening, by the way, but no one's ever mentioned it. What about Drew Tranquil? I know he's under contract.
That would be buck wild if Drew Tranquil
Right.
got cut.
Yeah. Okay. And then
They can't cut Drew Tranquil.
those are the spiciest of spicy, right? So that's not even. I think those are very unrealistic. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, if I'm just thinking about it, I mean, we've mentioned Sky Moore's probably going to get cut this time. If he doesn't, then I'm
Yeah,
not
Josh
surprised
Williams
either.
is right there on the defense.
Josh Williams. You got
Maybe even Najee.
Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell, I
Right.
think, falls into that category because we don't know what he offers yet. And there's been a couple of Felix Anudiko-Uzomah. It's just been a lot of players that haven't panned out that great. And then if you start looking at the offensive line, it could be like someone like a Wanye Moore.
Let me throw some names out, and you tell me if you think they're crazy, or if you think I'm crazy for thinking they could be a cut candidate, or if you think they're just a lock no matter what. What
Okay,
about
yeah,
Mike
let's do it.
Edwards?
Lock.
Mike Edwards as a safety. I
Lock.
think he's 100% lock, even with like
Yes.
the Glendon Millers of the world,
Yes.
Christian Roland Wallace, all those guys.
The
that
reason
are
why
fighting
I think
right there.
he's absolutely a lock is Mike Edwards won the Super Bowl here 2 years ago, played very, very well. He played decent last year. I think he ended up with Buffalo for a while and maybe another team. I can't remember. But either way, this is our guy that has some experience in that safety room. Like, we lost Justin Reid. We're literally...
Brian Cook's got a lot of experience.
Do you want
in
Brian
a-
Cook to be that guy in your safety room?
In a Spags defense, though, he's been here since the beginning.
But do you want him to be that guy? Like, I think that's a lot.
I'm not saying that, though, but I'm just saying Mike Edwards, to
Now, I
me,
do
feels
think
a little susceptible to maybe getting overran by a young, shiny toy, especially if Jaden Hicks pans out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if
I'm just thinking of spicy names, okay?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, what about the corners? What about Najee Johnson? Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think that they're just very invested in Najee Johnson?
I mean, realistically, I would say it's a possibility he gets cut. But then when I look at it from a Chiefs lens, they love him.
Dude, they're horned up for Najee Johnson.
And I don't know if it's his special team ability or what, but we know it's not his corner.
So presumably they take four safeties and 6 corners. That's what they did last year. 10 DBs is what they called them. And last year it had Chris Roland Wallace on there as probably the 6th corner.
It's gonna be tough. He's kind of like that CJ Hansen.
Will you will you try to name your top 6 corners right now that you think that the Chiefs are going to take?
Sure. We'll give it a shot.
McDuffie's one.
Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson. Let's go Christian Fulton. I think they are going to keep Noel Williams. They're not going to draft him. And then, so I mean, there's
your 4.
Right? And then I think maybe they get a couple of those tweeners that can play safety and corner and kind of do what you said and just go like 10 DBs, because that would be where Najee could make this roster. I think Josh Williams, you talked about him possibly being a cut. I think it's wild that they can't get what they need out of Josh Williams for whatever reason. Whether they don't trust him or whatever, I think all the tools are there. And he's been around for a while.
They play Chamari Connor at the nickel more than anything he does. Like
that's
with
what I was
safeties,
saying.
he's almost classified as a corner. He's almost going to be your number 5. So where does the 6th corner come in? Is it Najee Johnson? And if so, is Josh Williams out the door? Is Christian Roland Wallace now out the door after making the team last year?
Yeah, and potentially.
Dude, the corner is just as deep as wide receiver. They're not as talented, but it's as deep, right?
Yeah, and then you look at safety, and you already mentioned Mike Edwards, but I mean, you're talking about all these guys like Glendon Miller, and then we're talking about Chamari Connor could play safety, right? That's what he did do. Najee Johnson could play safety. We have people like Dion Bush. We have, of course, Hicks is going to get more playing time this year, but you're also talking Brian Cook, Mike Edwards. There's a lot of names in the pot, right? Glendon Miller, that I don't know if I mentioned him after you did, but there's just a lot. There's a lot there, and I think what they're going to do is probably just say they take 10 DBs, they're going to take the 10 best DBs. And I think the thing about that is we have a couple guys that can play either or, right?
Yeah, I think that they've got some hybrid guys there, your Chamari Connors of the world. I mean, Christian Roland Wallace come in as a safety, but he started just exclusively playing nickel last year. So
you think like Jeffrey Bossa and Drew Tranquil, they're both converted safeties. Do you think if the Chiefs were in like a really down position, do you think you could ever see one of those slide back into a safety
Bossa could
position?
100% do the Justin Reed role. In my opinion, Bossa can play that Justin Reed role.
I think so
when Justin Reed would come down in the box and be an extra defender, and he could also cover backs out of the backfield, and you could rely on him to do that pretty well. I do think, and I think he was having to do it because Willie Gay never panned out to do it, and then last year Willie Gay wasn't even here. I think
Willie Gay.
I think that was probably what it was. Okay, man. Well, This is getting pretty deep. I want to talk about one other thing before we head out of here. This come out today. Kevin Keitzman. Okay, he is a radio host.
Did you get hung up on that name a little bit?
I did. Kevin Keitzman. He's from KCMO Talk Radio. So they broke a story today. It says the Chiefs have walked away from land contracts in Kansas that have expired. Presumably, the Chiefs will stay in Missouri at this point. He goes on his personal Twitter to say multiple sources tell me the Chiefs have canceled 5 real estate contracts in Kansas and are believed to have signaled a stay at Arrowhead. Same sources say both teams have made decisions. I asked each what they believe will happen, and all they have said is they think the Royals are headed to Legends and KCK, as they don't believe they can win any vote by Missouri taxpayers. Chiefs believe Jackson County voters will give them what they want. It's not finalized, but both teams expected to share info in the next week or so. So, surprise, surprise, both teams are going to share info. Like, we know it. There's a deadline coming up. We get that. Steve, he's saying that the Royals look like they could go to Legends, KCK, and the Chiefs will stay.
It's completely backwards of what was supposed to be happening.
Right. And the Chiefs are going to stay.
Heard the whole time was that the Royals were going to be the downtown baseball team. They're going to have that stadium downtown.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs were the ones that were going to end up in Kansas. And now
A lot of people think this is a fraud report.
I think it is too. Honestly, if I had to guess right now, I would question it a little bit. Now, we do know they want to put a bunch of renovations into Arrowhead. So why would they sink in freaking $1 billion in Arrowhead and turn around and leave it? That don't make sense. But also, do you really think the voters are going to do what they want them to do? They didn't the first time.
The voters already screwed that up the first time.
That's what I'm saying. So why are they
again, people are
gonna do now?
People are gonna make their excuses. Look, if they voted to no on the tax or whatever they did, the way they're never changing their vote. Like they're gonna.
It takes one person
digging
to
their
throw
feet
it
in,
out there
Steve.
into the ether. Oh, why are we paying for billionaire stuff? And then everybody's like goes on their high horse about
Right,
how
they're never gonna.
we're not
They're never.
doing it. Yeah,
Right, they're not coming off their mentality and their vote. They're not doing it. And so I don't know how this guy thinks that the Chiefs are just going to get what they want from the taxpayers too. It wouldn't surprise me if they both didn't end up in Kansas. It kind of sucks in a way because I'm a purist. I want to see Arrowhead live on forever. But the reality is, Steve, I just think the times are changing so much. It wouldn't surprise me in 15 years if they're not in Kansas and they haven't made them change their name. Like, it really would not surprise me.
No.
We could be wearing a
Sorry,
completely
no.
different color scheme by the time we're...
Bruh. The cancel culture's gone backwards now. People are over that. No one cares about that anymore. We are in the opposite direction. We're going back to when people had a set of testicles. Yeah.
You think that. But guess what? When that slams a wall and they get the reverse Uno card, it's going to go 50 times harder the other way. Because they got to make up for lost time, Steve. They got to make up for lost time. They'll go after everybody.
The Chiefs will be the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs will be in Arrowhead. I think they'll figure something out. But like that report just kind of like it is weird because it's the exact opposite of what everyone's been talking about for a year.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that they don't believe the report. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't really care either way. I think at the end of the day, I don't really care.
That's my thing. Like as someone who does not live in Kansas City, I'm not a resident. I don't care if they're in Kansas. I don't care if they're in Missouri. Either or, whichever team. Either way, I'm still going to root for the Chiefs and the Royals.
Yeah.
Doesn't
if you
matter.
If you want to bring them over to Kentucky, I heard we're trying to expand to the NFL here.
I mean, whatever. They
would change, dude, 100%. If they came here, they would change their names to something stupid like the Thoroughbreds or something.
Yes, it would be something.
They can't get over the horses here.
They love the horses and the bourbon. Maybe they'd name them something about bourbon. You think?
The drunken jockeys. I don't know.
I don't know either, man. But no, that's an interesting thing. We'll see what happens, though. I think you'll know. Honestly, I feel like this will be a debate up until probably like 2030, right? Like, and then you'll kind of start seeing what's going to happen. But for the foreseeable future, I think everything's going to be exactly the same thing as it is.
From a guy that likes conflict resolution, like I see a problem and I try to fix it. Stuff like this irritates me. It gets to a point to where you're just like, I don't care. Just make a decision at this point. Like it's played out.
Yeah, it is.
You ever watch a movie? You ever watch a movie or a TV series and like there's this obvious, like, for example, like this love interest between two characters and they just keep making everything go wrong. And they just keep dragging it out for like seasons. And you're like, by the time they get together, I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like they just screwed it up. So yeah, man, this is the inaugural long form podcast episode, Steve. So I hope the people enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments. Get down there, be part of the conversation, man. Let us know everything we talked about. Just give your opinions and thoughts.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever, do us a favor and review the podcast. Give us 5 stars. Say something nice if you'd like. That'd be cool.
Dude, if you just got a Spotify account or an Apple account, you don't even have to listen. You can be on YouTube. Take a second and open up that app and go do that on Apple or Spotify for us. That goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you all being here. Love having the chat today, Mike. It was a good one. I think there's a lot of stuff to cover, and we have probably a good while up until camp to talk about all this stuff.
It's going to be so much better to actually get to talk about football stuff rather than just like speculation and
it's always like a good change up, right? It's like, man, we've been speculating and talking about and guessing and predicting, and now we can just talk about what actually happens.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's the fun part.
Yeah, let's do it. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Go Chiefs.